Hey everybody, welcome back to Comic Strip Teased. I'm Matt.
I'm Dave.
And we're talking the art of comics.
We are at C2E2, as you can see.
So we're going to be looking for a lot of great art. We're going to go through Artist Alley, try and find some creators, and buy some good stuff.
Yeah, I'm looking to get some sketches done today, well, this whole weekend. Get a couple of original pages. Hopefully meet some new artists that we didn't know before, or find some that we didn't know were going to be here.
Yeah. Spend a lot of money is basically what we're going to do.
Yeah!
Okay, so for those who haven't been to C2E2 before, or a big convention like this, it's really a giant expo hall that has a ton of dealers, ton of artists, ton of creators and celebrities that are all kind of in pods or sections of the show floor. For me, Artist Alley is the coolest place.
Absolutely.
Because it's this gigantic area that creators each get like 4 to 8 feet of space for. And they're all there peddling their original art and their mini comics or their trades or their art prints.
And anyone can get a table there. There are unknowns, people that this is the first show they've ever set up at, that are making their own comics, or they're just selling art prints, all the way up to people like George Perez, Marv Wolfman, guys like that that were sitting just in Artist Alley just with everybody else. It's a good mixture of up-and-comers or wannabes or has-beens and people that are at the pinnacle of their careers right now. So
yeah, so for me, I try and pre-plan who I want to hit, who I want to see based on the creator list that the convention puts out.
Yeah.
But the fun is just walking up and down those aisles multiple times, just trying to find those little gems.
Yeah, there's some good stuff there, but you definitely need to go into that show with a plan. Otherwise, all of a sudden, 8 hours later, they'll tell you the show's closing and you didn't do anything.
Yeah.
You didn't buy anything because you just didn't have a plan. You have to have a plan when you go there.
The place is gigantic, so it's real easy to get lost, and with that many people all in that same space.
The retail area is massive. I mean, I think just comic dealers alone, there's probably 60.
Sure.
And then there's original art dealers, and there are people...
Toys.
Yeah, peddling all kinds of stuff. Any kind of pop culture related stuff is there.
Okay, so now we're back in Green Bay. The show was awesome, and we want to show you some of the art and comics that we found while we were there.
Okay, walking up and down the Artist Alley. I had a plan looking for certain people, but then, like you mentioned, you just never know what you're going to see there. And I ran into Christopher Minton, who I didn't realize was on the list. He does some of the Mike Mignola world stuff.
Right. I know him from Rasputin.
Yep.
That was the first thing I saw from him.
Rise of the Black Flame.
Oh, that was really good.
He had pages from both, so I had a really hard time figuring out what to get. But so this was kind of a spur-of-the-moment purchase because I didn't know if he was going to be there. So anyway, I got this really cool page from Rasputin. It's from issue 3, page 12. So this was a cool purchase for me because I love the Hellboy universe.
Right.
I like how they keep the art in like a similar fashion, but yet they all have their own style. So to me, this was a really cool find, and I was kind of excited because this I got on Friday.
I agree with the Mignolaverse stuff in that they all these artists have their own vision, but they still have to kind of stay in tone with Mignola's style. But this guy, he does do line work, but yet it still fits that vibe. I mean, you look at this and there's no question that it's part of that BPRD Mignola universe.
Yeah, and this page I thought was cool because of that top panel with, you've got those heads on the sides, and then you've got these crazy guys with their blades out, double blades, and then you've got the guys with their guns. And then the second panel, you've got the crazy monsters, the mountain beasts.
Yeah, kind of Yeti looking guys.
And then on the bottom panel, you've got this guy getting choked out, which that's always fun.
No, I love it. I'm a sucker for any of this kind of giant stone temple head.
Yeah.
So that's really awesome. You've got this kinetic great action as this battle is ready to ensue. You've got these character designs on these monsters is awesome. It's just a really nice little page.
That's always fun meeting a creator I've never met, but I've liked his work for a while. So.
I have a feeling I'm going to be kicking myself for not getting a page. I just wasn't in the buying mood yet, and never went back, and I kind of wish I would have.
Yeah, well,
I'll regret this.
Yep, we both got lots of regret with not buying pages, so there you go.
Okay, for the next person that we bumped into at the show, I had seen his work on Twitter, I think, and because a bunch of creators were starting to like it, like, oh, check this out, it's really cool. And he had done a book called The Freak, and his name is Matt Luzwinski, which I probably just butchered. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Matt.
But he has this really crazy style It's got sort of the detail almost of a Jeff Darrow, but it's got these sort of elongated, cartoony characters that really make it his own. I just think it's really interesting stuff, and he's premiering his book, The Freak, which is just coming out like right now, I think, as we speak.
Yeah.
I was fortunate that I ordered a copy of his self-published first issue of it a few months back, so I kind of knew of him, and I brought that book to have him signed. He was really like, holy cow, he was excited that somebody knew of the work before this real published one had come out. So we each bought a page, so I can hold them both up. So one of these is from an unpublished book.
Unpublished, yep.
Yeah, that he was putting together and hasn't done anything with yet. And the other one is from the new series, The Freak. So Dave got the one from The Freak, I got the unpublished one. We started talking about it to different dealers and other artists, like showing them like, oh, have you seen it? And people were going crazy.
Yeah.
I think we probably sent a dozen people to that guy's booth ourselves.
There was definitely some buzz about him at the show, because there were people that we mentioned it to, and they already knew who we were talking about.
Right.
Like, yeah, I saw that guy's stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think this guy could definitely go somewhere.
Yeah, just talking about the art itself, you can just see how much detail he's putting into this artwork, and it's all in like a very line style. There's obviously no heavy blacks at all. Everything's being done with line.
Extremely detailed, though. The background's included.
It's unique and stylized, but not so much so that it's off-putting.
Right. It's got this kind of cool, creepy feel to the characters. I just love how some of them just have that look, like you're talking about, this over elongated look, and everyone's just got these long thin limbs, and I don't know, it's just got a cool creepy vibe to it that I really like.
And then for the other page, the one that I'd gotten, this is a splash page from an unpublished piece.
That thing is beautiful.
Yeah, I don't have any splash pages in my collection, so he was selling these very cheap, like very cheap, which is obviously why I made the decision I did.
Yeah, because the Freak pages were like $150 to $200. And this, I think you got, was it for
$25?
$25 for a splash page.
But he was promoting The Freak, so I think his energies were there, and this stuff maybe he saw as older, not as important work, and I was happy to buy it from him. I think we've gotten in on the ground floor of somebody that has the potential to become something special.
I agree. Okay, so the next page that we're going to talk about is one that Matt bought. It's from a creator that I actually met in Charlotte at Heroes Con last June, and he was here at C2E2, and he's a super cool guy, Ryan Bodenheim. Matt got a page from what was originally called the Utopian, but the name was changed to Halcyon.
Right. So this page, I saw this and just loved it. And what's cool about it too is it's the first page from the first issue. So it's really like the start of the story. And it's crazy. I mean, look at this action that's going on here.
His ink style is just awesome though. I love it.
Yeah, it's interesting because he's got great line work. But he has kind of a heavy black line too that really helps pop the foreground and the background and differentiate different items on the page. It's really tight, but you can tell he's doing all of this work with like a micron pen. He's not using a brush, it's all pen work.
Okay, yeah.
Which I think is really cool. And you can see some other things too. He's using a white pen to put some detail back in.
I love when they do that.
But it's just cool to see that process, because when it's in the finished page in color, you would never see that. So to have the piece of original art and be able to really see how they did these things, for me, I like to draw too, and it's cool to see that. The other interesting thing about this page, which you might not be able to tell here, is that if this is a regular comic size page, this is how he's doing it. So you can see it's about, that's half size.
Yeah, it's really small,
right.
And which makes the detail you put into it even crazier. Because the reason why a lot of people don't know that original art is standard 11 by 17 is what most artists use,
right.
Because it gives them more room to work. You can get more detail into the page.
Right. Then when you shrink it down, everything looks tighter and more detailed. He was selling these for less than $100. I think it was like $50 or $60.
Yeah.
Which I thought was a steal.
I agree.
So I was kind of deciding between this and some of his Red Mass for Mars pages. I think those might have been a little bit more money, but they still were affordable. So I just thought this page was just so darn cool. It was hard to turn down.
You made the right choice.
I think so too. All right, so Dave, what's this next page? It wasn't directly, we bought it in Artist Alley, but it wasn't directly from an artist.
Right. So, well, it was, but not from the artist that made it. So in this case, I got this page from Buzz, and he's just connected with a lot of other artists. That's all he does is travel around to shows. So I picked up a really cool Mike Allred Metal Men page from him, and I've always wanted an Allred page.
Me too.
And his stuff is usually pretty expensive, so that's
why I don't have a page normally.
Yeah.
He's done a ton of work, so you'd think it would be more available, but I think he's just such a popular guy that the stuff sells well.
I got this from Buzz for $150, and it's signed by Allred. I'd love to meet him, and I never have, but this is the next best thing, is at least getting a page from him. So it's just classic Allred style. I love how he draws characters like this. Yeah,
but he's just got, ever since Madman, he's one of those guys that you take one look at a panel and you know instantly that that's him.
Yeah, it was just a great find, something I didn't expect. So that's kind of what the theme of this show was for me with original art, was stumbling across artists that I didn't expect to buy something from.
Right. Okay, so for my last page purchase, I waited until Sunday. We were ready to leave. We had set a time of 2 o'clock. We were leaving, and at 1:55 I went and walked over because I had a little bit of money still in my pocket that was on reserve, and I knew one of my favorite artists was over there and had a page I really wanted. That being Tommy Lee Edwards. This is a page from the book Bullet Points. I've loved Tommy Lee Edwards forever. He had done some work at Wildstorm way back in the day, and has kind of been a journeyman. He's done work for just about everybody. Most recently on DC's Vertigo line with Mother Panic.
Correct.
If you know me and what the stuff I like, this is 110% my kind of page.
Yes, it is.
Brushy as can be. There's ass loads of black ink on it. You've got great faces. They're in space suits.
Right. This is such a classic Matt page.
There's technology, there's emotion, there's faces.
You know what else that makes it like that too? Is this is not standard comic book page size either.
Oh right, this is another one that's different.
It's bigger, and he's used as a different paper, which maybe you can speak to what that is, but it's just not what most artists use for paper.
Yeah, it's strange to see. It's on this really super thin, cheap stuff. There's no visible pencil lines on this at all. Now maybe the reason it's so thin is he was using a light box.
Sure.
And maybe had some photo reference stuff that he was using. Now that's nothing wrong with that. But overall, I just absolutely love this. And what was nice is that he was there in Artist Alley, but he's also represented by a dealer.
Jason from Essential Sequential.
Yeah, I had cash in my hand, priced a little more than I normally like to spend.
No,
I just knocked a few bucks off and said, "Hey, will you do this?" And he was like, "Kim Han." And then I whipped out of my pocket I said in cash, and I had big bills. He's like, "Ooh, hard to turn down." And I'm like,
so it's end of the show, just an extra sale.
Right. So it was great because I walked out a very happy man. I got my favorite page of the show as we're walking out. So it was just a good purchase and something I've been eyeing up forever.
Yeah, and you didn't have to pay shipping either.
Right.
So it worked out good for both parties, I think.
Yeah. Okay, so other than buying sequential published pages, which is what I like to get more than anything, when we're at the show, we also love picking up sketches from people. And these are usually just smaller pieces of work.
It's one of my favorite things to get at shows. Like you said, pages are like our bread and butter for what we collect, but I have so many sketches too, and they're definitely a different price point than original pages, because most pages are published, so that means it's going to cost you more money, whereas a lot of sketches are just something that some of them will, there's two different ways to get them. One's a pre-done sketch.
Yeah, which a lot of artists will do, like before the show, they'll come with a stack of things that they did back at their studio that are there for sale. They're pre-priced. I like doing that because you can kind of just look at it and pick it out.
And they're usually less expensive.
Right.
And for somebody like us or you to just pick up something between $5 and $50 usually, sometimes a little more for their big name. But yeah, maybe $100 is top you'll pay for a pre-done sketch usually. Another way that you can also get a sketch done is by getting a commissioned sketch.
Right.
So that is something that typically, if there's an artist there you really want a sketch done by, that's the first thing you got to do when you get to the show, because their sketch list fills up fast.
Yeah, they might only have 10 slots that they have for the whole weekend.
Right, because it might take 4 hours per sketch, and if they're busy all day at a show, they're doing this stuff in the hotel room a lot of times. So those are great pieces though, because it's something that you ask for, that you request, and if it's something they're willing to do, then you pay them for it. So it's typically going to cost you more.
Yeah, usually those are at least $100.
Yeah, sometimes 2 or 3. Just depends on the artist, but they're great when you get them.
Yeah.
You can either get them done on the artist paper, or you can have a sketchbook that you bring with you. First thing I bought at the show this weekend was not an original page, it was a sketch. It was actually in row A, the first row. I got this little demon sketch from a guy that is just new, had his own comic, but he had this little stack of pre-done sketches that were $5.
Oh, that's awesome.
So my cheap radar went off, and I dove right into those, and they were all good. I mean, he really did a good job with them. I mean, they're quick sketches, but for $5, it's an original sketch. It was a no-brainer. It was a way to support a guy that's trying to make it there.
Yep. Okay, so one of the sketches that I picked up was from an indie creator that you found first and then pulled me over to. His name was Brett Hobson, and I got this really awesome Native American sketch from him. These were real reasonable, and they were just character studies that he had of different things, but I just thought this brushy, sketchy style was real interesting.
It's really nice. He's good.
And you could tell that he was kind of new.
He looked like he was 19.
Yeah, right. You know, so it definitely felt like first show kind of guy.
Yes.
So
seemed nervous.
Yeah, seeing the quality of the work though, I really wanted to support him and, you know, gave him some money to, you know, make his day.
I think, what was that, $20?
I think about that, yeah.
Yeah, so next piece that I picked up, again, wasn't an original page, it was another sketch.
Yeah.
This was a couple of rows after the first one. His name is John Bivens. This was a cool sketch that he did that I thought was great. I looked through all of his sketches.
I think it's awesome.
Again, pre-done, which I think was like $20, maybe 25. So this was a cool find for me. You can see that he did a really good job having the character coming after him in the
reflection.
It is
really
neat. So I thought this was a pretty cool little find.
It is cool, and I'm a sucker for UK books, you know, like 2000 AD. So to see that, I was jealous immediately that you grabbed it.
Yeah, Judge Dredd, I just thought it was something kind of fun.
All right, so another little sketch I got was this really cool character design sketch of these two criminals, which was part of an unpublished story that the creator of The Freak had done. Again, this was a pre-done sketch. It was something that was just on his table, and it was super reasonably priced, I think $10.
$10.
Yeah, so it was hard to pass up, and I just think he's an up-and-comer, so it was a really cool chance to get something easy. Okay, so obviously the real reason we go to shows isn't just art, it's comics.
Hey.
It isn't cosplaying, it isn't prints, it isn't...
It's definitely not cosplay.
You know, it isn't a belt buckle or a sword or whatever stupid stuff is going on there. It's comics.
Right.
That's what we love, comics, right?
But they're called Comic Cons.
Right. So we always like going up and down Artist Alley to try and find, you know, some of the creators we've been talking about today, you know, things that you've never seen before. And one of them...
Self-published stuff?
Yeah, right. So one of them is the guy we just talked about, which is this Brett Hobson, who we bought some artwork from. And he had a indie comic there.
Yeah, so we both picked this up. It's just cool black and white art, great little short story. This was probably $5?
$5 or less.
Yeah, so that's the kind of stuff we're looking for, are people that are self-publishing, making comic books.
Right. And
we're looking for that. This is another one. This Burning West by John Bivens.
Yeah, I love the cover on that. It really stood out, and I wanted to pick it up as soon as I saw it.
Yeah, again, reproduction in black and white, which is great. A lot cheaper for them to reproduce.
I love ash cans. Like they're just like these little design thing, you know, these little cute little packages. You know.
Okay, so another book that I picked up in Artist Alley is called The Rebel Gun. This is by one of my recent favorite comic artist, Joshua Hickson, who...
Hickson boy!
Yeah, kind of a fanboy of him, I guess. But yeah, I talked about him in one of our other videos. He drew Shanghai Red. This was a self-published book that he did. I love this format of comic like this where you can... The artist leaves a spot for a sketch, and you can commission them to sketch in there.
I've got a lot of different indie artists that do that. Like maybe it's on the back cover or in the inside cover like that, and they just leave a white, like a clear zone, where they'll do even just a quick 30-second thumbnail it's still cool.
Another thing that is fun to look for in Artist Alley, if you see somebody's art that just pops when you're walking by, like if you see their banner or they have art prints up or original art or something, and you stop, you're like, wow, who is that? What are they working on? One of those creators that I had that happen to several years ago was Jenny Frison.
Yeah.
She is getting really big now because she's doing a lot of Wonder Woman covers, X-Men covers. She's done all kinds of stuff. She did all the covers for Revival. But anyway, so I met her several years ago, thought her art was really cool. Actually just had her at our store.
For a signing, right?
Yeah, right after C2E2, the week after, because of asking her for years to do that. And so that was awesome. But this is something that you can get from artists too, is like a sketchbook or an art book. One other cool thing that I picked up in Artist Alley was I got to meet Eddie Campbell, who we both are big fans of. But it was cool meeting him. You know, he's an older guy now, but you know, he signed this to me, and he was having problems with his square, like running my card And so then he did this little doodle in here of himself having a hard time
Right.
running my card. So that was just
Yeah.
a cool little personal experience with him.
Well, yeah, it's a great story.
Yeah, which is, again, why we like going to these shows and going to Artist Alley, and you meet these creators, and then you have that cool little connection with them, or something like
Right.
that happens, and then you get a sketch out of it.
Okay, so obviously we love Artist Alley, but we also like going to all the dealers because you end up with guys from all different states, different parts of the country that come and bring stuff. And a lot of them have the same types of things, but then every once in a while you find guys who have stuff you haven't seen. So I love getting stuff like, European comics and old indie comics. Obviously we like finding creators who are hot now that, maybe they're early indie books that we never heard of.
Yeah.
So you find guys that all of a sudden will have stuff you haven't seen, so it's nice to dig through and find stuff, and sometimes you pay a lot, sometimes you get it cheap.
Right, yeah, the dealers that are at the show, there's I think 60-ish different comic dealers there. So there's definitely all different types of stuff, and it's nice when we can find the things that you just mentioned that are hard for us to find.
Right.
Which are usually very small print run things that most people aren't looking for, so when we find it, it's like treasure.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, in particular, there was a dealer, this crazy Virginia guy, who was awesome. He had all the same type of stuff that we love, and we each bought a bunch of stuff from him.
Yeah, I bought several things from him. I think 2 different times we went back.
I went back 3 times,
Okay.
digging through all of his stuff.
Triple dip, yeah.
So anyways, we each bought like dozens of stuff, but we brought a couple things that we really thought were unique today. One of them is, in the last year or two, I've kind of gotten introduced to Guido Kripax, who's a real famous European artist. He did a series called Valentina that became real popular. And I found this great little book called Ciao Valentina.
Oh!
Which is all about the title character. And I have this, and I have probably some of this in different formats, but this is an Italian version, so it's not translated, so it's original. And it's in this sort of digest size. Panels are sort of sequenced really crazy. It isn't a normal comic by any means.
No, not at all.
But it's just so unique, and I just feel like I'm never going to see this again, or if I do, it's going to be too expensive. So
I picked up a couple things that, Matt and I both have a hit list of Paul Pope stuff. This is a really unique THB issue that I've never seen in person.
I have it.
Matt already has it, but I've never seen one. Of course, occasionally one will pop up on eBay, but I would rather buy it from a dealer that carries that stuff at a show to help support that, so then those types of dealers keep coming back. This is a book, like I said, that I've had on a hit list for I don't even know how many years. One other thing I picked up too was a manga surprise, which this is again something else that I've had on a hit list for a long time. Right,
it's early Paul Pope. It's when he went and worked in Japan for a couple years, and this is some of the only published work that ever came from that.
Yes,
it's been reprinted, but this is the original. You just never see it, and when you do, it's really high and pricey. So when I saw that, I was like, oh, look, he's got it.
Yeah, it was really exciting again to see a couple things that I've never seen in person before.
Right. Okay, so another thing we love to do when we're in Chicago, just because we're 3.5, 4 hours away from there, is hit all the comic stores that we can. I don't know about you, but anytime I travel, I always try and, first thing I do is look up stores that are close to my hotel or whatever.
Absolutely. I've been to over 100 comic stores easily, probably maybe close to 200 throughout the country just from traveling,
So 2 of the places we like to stop are Chicago Comics and Quimby's. They have a sort of a similar inventory for comic work, but then Quimby's is more of a bookstore as well. And they have tons and tons and tons of indie stuff, like whole walls of photocopied zines and self-published little ash cans. It's overwhelming how much is there, and you can go through all that stuff and not always find something you love, because there's such levels of craft. Right? But one of the books I found that I ended up really loving was this book. It's called Kingdom Order, and it's a really unique little story, all done with no words, and it's about kind of a man in this surreal conversation with some of the animals. He encounters birds and squirrels and that type of stuff. And just this almost psychological, trippy, surreal little tale. But it's just sort of a cool, unique thing that I had never seen before.
Another thing that we like to look for at these stores, besides just the real self-published indie stuff, are things that are published by companies that maybe I'm not sure if it's going to be good until I see it physically. It might sound like a good concept when I see it in the previews catalog, but until you actually see it and feel it, it's hard to tell if it's going to be worth the money. And one of those things that I picked up because it looked freaking amazing was the Eternaut. Comes in this cool slipcase. This was a thing that I'd gotten at Chicago Comics. It's all black and white. This was originally a strip back in the 50s?
50s, and yeah, down in Argentina. And it came out about a year ago from Fantagraphics, which I had picked it up and I just loved. I had never heard of it. I felt really stupid that I hadn't heard of it, and then did the research and realized it's this international, huge, culturally significant piece of work that somehow went under my radar. I can't recommend this book enough. I think every serious collector should have this. This volume it's a masterclass in not only art but storytelling and writing.
I loved it.
Despite being 50 years old, it feels as relevant today reading it as it did then. There's a lot of subtext to it. Yeah, and it's been out of print, and that's why when we were down in Chicago and we had seen it, I kind of nudged you thinking like, oh, here's your chance to get another copy for the store, for a customer or something. Yeah. Okay, another book I had picked up at those stores was a book called Tongues. Now this is crazy. The production value on this is top notch. It has gatefolded cover, it's got die cut inserts, it's full color, and as you can see, it's oversized. So this is, I mean, in terms of graphic design and artistic craft and writing, this is some of the coolest stuff I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Now, the subject matter is kind of surreal. There was just something about it on the shelf that just connected with me, and I wanted to try it. Got home and read it. I would consider this like an artist among illustrators. This just feels like something special.
I agree. The other cool thing is we've actually had this happen. Things we've picked up at places like Chicago Comics or Quimby's or wherever, we end up meeting the creator at a comic show.
Down the road, right.
Yeah. And we're like, wow, you're the person that did this. And then you see the other stuff they have, and you get to tell them the story of how you found it. And it's just...
A lot of times they're surprised you even heard of them. You know,
of course.
Because it's such an indie scene.
Yeah. So great find there, too. If you haven't been to C2E2 or any other big show like that, hopefully this makes you want to go to one, because there's so much cool stuff. And we're definitely planning on going next year like we do every year.
Yeah, we've been going to the C2E2 for 10 years and been going to Chicago shows for almost 30 years now. It's the greatest thing. It's something that we look forward to all year long.
It's never disappointing. There's so much stuff at them, so definitely check them out.
If you like the content of this video, please drop a thumbs up below to support the channel, and make sure to click subscribe to see future content.